So it begins with politics, because that seemed like the sensible place to begin. The chapter is called Old World Order. Do you see what I've done there? And of course I get to talk about the politics of Athens, of Sparta, of Rome, and so on. And I was writing this chapter last year when the MP's expenses scandal was at its peak. And the thing that we kept hearing, the two phrases that we kept hearing over and over again, it seemed to me, were one, if you pay peanuts you get monkeys, and two, came to realise if you pay quite a lot of money, also monkeys. And two, what we need is the best person for the job. The best person for the job. And these two sentiments bothered me a lot, for two reasons, I guess. The idea of the best person for the job is incredibly pervasive in our society. This is why whenever somebody suggests women-only shortlists, or loading something so that you can try and make a more equal racial balance, for example, in the Houses of Parliament, people go, oh yeah, but we need the best person for the job. The subtext being that if you make it just the best woman, just the best black person, just the best Asian lady, you won't get the best person for the job. And the mindset behind that, I think, is that the job, whatever the job is in essence like, I don't know, winning the 100 metres in the Olympics. And you kind of go, okay, so indisputably the best person at doing that at the last Olympics was Usain Bolt. He totally can run 100 metres faster than anybody else. But I don't know about you, I'm pretty good at my job, but I don't think I'm the only person who can do it. If I'm busy, they can get another comedian. If I'm not there to write an article, somebody else can write an article. They won't do it the exact same way as me, that's true. But you know what? They'll still write a really good article and it will be fine. Most of our jobs don't require the best person for the job, because most of our jobs aren't winning the 100 metres at the Olympics. If anything, most of our jobs require, I don't know, being able to run under 11 seconds 100 metres. Loads of people can do that, right? So if you go into a doctor's surgery, there isn't one doctor who can diagnose tonsillitis in an 8-year-old. They can all do it, well, one would hope they can all do it. That's kind of what we're looking for. The best person for the job is non-existent. We need, thousands of perfectly adequate GPs who can work out what tonsillitis looks like. And then if one of them is marginally more elegant about it than the others, it kind of doesn't matter. And it occurred to me that this was something we were being fed. The idea that a job of political power or running a bank required the best person for the job was a nonsense. And people who would have totally known that were the 5th century Athenians, who didn't elect almost anything. They elected generals, we'll come to that later. But everything else was decided by sortition, by lot. So if you were, they have a direct democracy, right? No represented people turn up and vote for things on your behalf the way your MP turns up and votes for you. They turned up. Now there are two big failings, obviously, with the Athenian democracy before we go any further. One is just for citizens, so bad luck girls, bad luck foreigners. And two, it's predicated on slavery. If you don't have somebody to run your blacksmith shop while you go and vote, then you can't go and vote. And if that person needs to vote because they're a citizen, they're not going to stay and run it for you, so you need a slave. So there's an ugly underbelly, for sure, to Athenian democracy. But allowing for that and putting it to one side, the Athenians then chose everything by lot. So they have an assembly of people who vote on stuff, raising hands. I know, imagine that. They decide to go to war or not on the people who are actually going to row the war boats, putting their hands up and voting. Compare this with the moment in Fahrenheit 9/11, where Michael Moore lost congressmen who voted for their current conflict. How many of them have children serving? And it's one out of all of them. And so, the Athenians have the assembly of people who vote, then they have a council of people who decide what stuff gets voted on that day. That council is divided up into tents of 50 people, called the Prytany, and that changes every month. And the person in charge of the Prytany for that day, the chairman, changes every single 24 hours. So you could be all right at it, but you've only got 24 hours to really screw it up if you're terrible. And at no point do the Athenians seem to ever say, oh, it was brilliant when he was in charge. Remember when he administrated? Oh, it was a golden time. If only we could have it again. Never. At no point does that ever happen. They just sort of assume that everyone will be all right. And that because everyone else is around, that the wisdom of crowds will kind of carry them through. And you know what? They sort of did all right on it. The idea of the best person for the job is an entirely modern constraint, and seems to me like it might have been created by people who already have a really nice job. But far be it for me to prove it, obviously. And my second worry was that if you paid peanuts, you get monkeys. The Athenians didn't pay you a big ton of money to do a job. They paid you compensation for not working. So you got a few wobbles. If you were chairman of the Prytany and in charge of all of the business of Athens for a single day, you got a few obels, what you would have got as a skilled craftsman for a day's work. Not millions and millions of obels, just a few to kind of make up for it. And yet, no shortage of people, no record of anyone saying, oh, I don't fancy it. Oh, I'm not going to do it. Sorry, busy. Found something else to do. And over again, we're told, if we don't pay more for our politicians, well, we won't get the best people. That should kill me. It's patently untrue. We could pay them a massive pay cut, and they would still be there. It turns out that power is more alluring, perhaps, than hard cash money. So, just something to think about next time you're being told that you have to bear the brunt of public sector cuts.